him years later after he had left. He announced to a few people, "No, if you want to know, I'm not sorry."
Can you imagine prime time without the Cartwright clan lighting up the screen each week? The thought feels empty, almost eerie. For more than 10 years, the Ponderosa felt like part of American living rooms, glowing beside couches and coffee tables night after night. Yet behind that cheerful ranch gate the air crackled with secrets, grudges, and sudden exits that no camera ever caught. Remember, Bonanza aired in color when many homes still flickered in black and white, making the series a Sunday ritual that painted living rooms with bright frontier sunsets. Pernell Roberts, the actor who turned his back. Pernell Roberts shocked the country when he quit, while the series still crushed its rivals in every ratings book. Viewers saw Adam Cartwright as cool, wise, and eager to carve a brighter tomorrow, but the man on the black hat felt trapped and restless. Roberts craved deeper plots, richer feelings, and real conflict that would stretch Adam's soul to the breaking point. Instead, he faced recycled lines that made him feel more like a talking prop than a serious artist. From a very first episode in 1959, Roberts brought Adam polish, education, and a thinker's edge that set him apart from many TV cowboys of the day. Season after season, though, the script circled the same safe ground and left Adam unchanged. A classically trained actor cannot thrive on autopilot, and that slow grind weighed on him like a stone on his chest. Roberts argued often with producers and network bosses, begging for tougher plots that forced viewers to grapple with right and wrong long after credits rolled. It was unheard of for a Western to chase big ideas every week. Yet Roberts believed audiences could handle the heat. He voiced his irritation loudly in magazines, on set, and even at public events, earning a reputation as both fearless and difficult. For him, staying meant surrendering his craft and maybe his sanity. In 1965, he told reporters, "My being part of a television series is like Vincent van Gogh painting a sign over a laundry in order to pay his rent." Those fiery words torched every safety net he had. The creative stalemate kept squeezing. Doctors treated him for anxiety, and friends saw the spark in his eyes fade. Money and fame could not calm the thunder in his heart. Fellow actors whispered that he was crazy to leave millions on the table, but Roberts saw a different danger. Comfort that slowly suffocates ambition. After 6 seasons, he made his break. The show explained Adam's absence with one lonely line saying he had sailed away on a grand adventure. No goodbye episode, no party, just a glaring silence that stunned fans. A friend later recalled hearing Roberts declare at a gathering, "No, if you want to know, I'm not sorry," before laughing off the fortune he had let slide through his fingers. Roberts rolled straight back to Broadway in the musical Mata Hari. The play sank, yet critics praised his voice and passion. New television roles soon followed, and Trapper John, MD, at last gave him the freedom he had craved for years. Looking back, he said, "The important thing is that I tried. I didn't let myself rot in comfort. I took the risk." He retired in 1997 and died in 2010, remembered for choosing truth over ease, a beacon for every performer chasing artistic honesty.
Pernell Roberts, for some reason, felt disappointed at some point in his run-through. I know that at a party that I met him years later after he had left, he announced to a few people, "No, if you want to know, I'm not sorry." And then he'd go on at the party because he knew people were going to say, "What happened to you? You gave up several millions of dollars?"
Roberts returned to the stage.
But some exits were not chosen at all. Brace yourself for the heartbreak that slammed into the Ponderosa like a runaway herd. Dan Blocker, a gentle giant gone too soon. Dan Blocker's farewell felt like a punch to the gut because no one saw it coming. To fans, he was more than Haas Cartwright. He was the show's beating heart, a big brother carved from kindness. His warmth balanced his brother's fire, and his booming laugh melted every tense showdown. Without him, the Ponderosa suddenly felt cold. Off-camera, Blocker's life story was just as stirring as anything ever scripted. Born in DeKalb, Texas in 1928, he weighed 14 pounds at birth, a record for Bowie County that still grabs headlines today. Yet that giant frame housed a shy spirit that loved books, theater, and quiet sunsets. He earned a master's degree in drama, served as an infantry sergeant in the Korean War, and carried a Purple Heart home, all before Hollywood called his name. The nickname Haas, frontier slang for a huge, reliable horse, matched him perfectly. Week after week, he solved trouble with tenderness instead of fists, and viewers from grandkids to grandparents adored him. He admitted it took time to pull away from the kind-hearted persona everyone expected offset, but he never let the challenge dull his effort or his smile. Colleagues remember Blocker bringing homemade stew to late-night shoots and defusing arguments with a joke and a bear hug. He saw the crew as family, and they loved him back. That is what made the sudden tragedy of 1972 feel unbearable. At just 43, Blocker entered a Los Angeles hospital for routine gallbladder surgery. A hidden blood clot rushed to his lungs and stole his life within hours. A friend later explained, he'd had pancreas, and he had stopped. He wasn't a drunk, but I mean he stopped drinking entirely, and that's what killed him. The grief froze the entire production. Rather than hide the loss or recast the role, producers stared the pain in the eye. For the first time, a prime-time hit addressed the real death of a character beloved by millions. The tribute episode left audiences in tears because the sobs on screen came straight from the hearts of cast and crew. Blocker's legacy still rides high, like a banner in the Nevada wind. He proved that true strength can be gentle, that the biggest hero can also have the softest heart, and that kindness is a power no villain can defeat.
He'd had pancreatitis, and he had stopped, he wasn't a drunk, but I mean, he stopped drinking entirely. He'd cleaned up his act, and a blood clot somewhere developed in his leg and got to his heart before they could get him to the hospital. And that's what killed him.
David Canary, a price too high. David Canary's stay on Bonanza was shorter, yet his arrival jolted fresh life into the long-running saga. As Candy Kennedy, the tough but caring foreman, he slipped into the Cartwright family like a missing puzzle piece, bridging the gap between old tradition and new adventure. Audiences cheered his mix of grit, humor, and loyalty, seeing him as an adopted brother. Behind the scenes, another storm gathered, powered not by story ideas but by paychecks and pride. When Canary joined during Season 9, the series was still a powerhouse, but it was aging and fresh spice was needed. His role delivered exactly that spark. Yet when contract talks started, the network offered only small bumps while the bigger names enjoyed hefty raises. The message hit hard. Side players could be replaced at any moment. Feeling slighted and determined to stand tall, Canary chose dignity over safety. There was no grand goodbye, no showdown, just an empty bunk the next week. Children writing fan letters asked why Candy vanished, and parents had no answer. The quick exit showed how easily Hollywood can forget the value of its team players when the budget grows tight. Canary's walkout was about more than dollars. It was about respect and the right of every worker to feel valued. His stand shook the studio offices and forced a fresh look at contract justice across the industry. After Blocker's death rocked the show and ratings slid, producers swallowed their pride and begged Canary to return, reportedly at Michael Landon's personal request and with fairer terms. Canary rejoined, guiding Bonanza through its final ride and pulling viewers back with steady presence. Can a new face ever slip into Ponderosa without stirring up a stampede of drama? Guy Williams tried, yet his charm nearly tipped the wagon. Guy Williams, too popular for comfort. Williams, already a hero to millions of Zorro, arrived tall, graceful, and grinning, ready to fill the empty boots left by Pernell Roberts. Playing Will Cartwright, Ben's nephew, he checked every box for fresh storylines and fresh sparks. Early scenes looked golden. Williams traded smooth banter with Lorne Greene, matched Michael Landon's energy, and shared hearty laughs with Dan Blocker. Viewers warmed to him at once because he felt like family from day one. Yet whispers fluttered through the set faster than prairie wind. Some crew members hinted that Landon saw a rival in Williams's broad shoulders and easy smile. The fear was simple. What if the new guy stole the spotlight meant for little Joe? Because Guy Williams was hired to be the father figure and the star of the show, and suddenly what happened Jonathan Harris is the star of the show. The whole world talks about Jonathan Harris, and that's what happened. Whether those concerns were real or imagined, well, Cartwright scenes shrank week after week. Plots that could have sent him on daring quests were scrapped, leaving him with stray lines and half hugs. after only a handful of episodes, will vanish with barely a goodbye. Viewers sit stunned, wondering why a promising cousin rode out so fast. Public statements blame creative shifts, yet insiders muttered about quiet power struggles. Whatever the truth, Williams packed up and sought the next adventure. He found it in Lost in Space, where he became Professor John Robinson, another fearless father guiding a family through cosmic danger. The role cemented his place in television legend, proving his warmth and heroism were always meant to shine. Away from the cameras, Williams built a second life in Argentina, adored by crowds who still cheer for Zorro. He lived in peaceful bliss until a sudden brain aneurysm claimed him in 1989, leaving fans on 2 continents grieving a true gentleman. Lorne Greene, the reluctant patriarch. Lorne Greene's deep voice rolled across American living rooms like distant thunder, steady and reassuring. As Ben Cartwright, he stood for fairness, courage, and ironclad family love through 14 long seasons. Greene, born Lionheim Green in Ottawa, already carried the nickname Voice of Canada thanks to his calm wartime newscasts. Yet Bonanza launched him into superstardom almost overnight. Viewers saw him not just as an actor, but as an honorary father who could guide them through any storm. By the late 1960s, that blessing also felt like a cage. In a 1967 chat, he was asked if he hoped the show would run another 8 years. His honest answer, no. He feared comfort might dull his craft and block new dreams. Still, he stayed loyal. Whenever tempers flared on set, Greene smoothed the waters with careful words and gentle humor. He mentored younger castmates and kept the wagon train rolling no matter how rough the trail. When Bonanza finally folded in 1973, Greene wasted no time reinventing himself. He turned to music and even reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1964 with the spoken ballad Ringo. He proved that a single role can make a legend, but curiosity keeps that legend alive. Greene remained active on screen and stage until his passing in 1987. His legacy still echoes each time the Bonanza theme strikes its first bold note. Lorne Greene carried similar humility. Between takes, he entertained extras with behind-the-scenes tales from his radio days, his voice turning simple stories into epic adventures. Friends said he could read a phone book and keep an audience spellbound. He also recorded several albums of Western songs, each one kissed by his calming bass. Concert-goers described chills when he stepped on stage in full cowboy gear, tipping his hat before reciting tales of dusty trails and lost love. Though he played a stern father, castmates remember him bringing cakes for birthdays and calling worried parents when child actors fell homesick. He understood that true leadership blends strength and warmth. His final years were busy with guest spots on television dramas and voice work for cartoons. He once told a reporter that acting felt like a trail ride that never really ends. You just keep searching for the next horizon until the sun dips low. Michael Landon, the soul of the Ponderosa. Michael Landon did not just play little Joe Cartwright. He pulsed as the heart of the Ponderosa. His rebel grin, wind-tossed hair, and fiery stare gave the show its spark, standing in fierce contrast to Ben's patient wisdom and Haas's gentle smile. Yet behind that charm hid storms of pain, ambition, and a destiny that would end too fast, breaking the hearts of millions. Born Eugene Maurice Orowitz in 1936 in Forest Hills, New York, he grew up in a house where love often felt like a rumor. His mother wrestled dark moods and more than once tried to end her own life, while young Eugene watched in terror. Night after night, he slept with one eye open, unsure what the dawn might bring. Sports became his lifeline. He mastered the javelin, broke school records, and won a scholarship to Southern California, dreaming of Olympic glory until a brutal injury ripped the medal from his grasp. Refusing to sink, he opened a phone book, pointed at the name Michael Landon, and made it his new armor. He dyed his hair jet black, sharpened his cheekbones with careful dieting, and drove studio lots in search of any camera light. Small acting jobs followed, until 1957, when I Was a Teenage Werewolf exploded across drive-ins and crowned him the king of teenage dread. The raw magnetism he unleashed in that low-budget thriller caught network scouts by surprise and played like a siren call across Hollywood. When Bonanza called in '59, Landon seized the reins and never let go. As little Joe, he embodied restless youth, mixing mischievous jokes with sudden rage, and viewers felt every throb of his growing soul. He poured real tears into scenes of loss, real laughter into moments of joy, and stole the show with raw sincerity. Soon he demanded more than close-ups. He pitched stories, wrote scripts, and then shouted action from the director's chair, unheard of power for a man barely in his mid-20s. That rise sparked friction. Older hands bristled when the young star pushed for deeper morals and sharper edges. Landon wanted Bonanza to stand for something bigger than a gunfight, and he fought hard for every tender scene. Some writers muttered that he was rewriting history with every draft, while others quietly cheered his daring. Meanwhile, private demons nipped at his heels. Childhood scars left him impatient with weakness, and crew members whispered that he worked like a man chased by invisible flames. It's not really a matter of your loved ones becoming more precious to you, B, because they're as precious as they can be. Despite the pressure, Landon carried lessons from Bonanza into future triumphs. Little House on the Prairie let him paint sweeping family tales with his own brushstrokes, blending adventure with tender homestead lessons that echoed across playgrounds and church halls. Highway to Heaven wrapped his search for purpose inside glowing miracles, turning highways and parking lots into settings for hope, redemption, and second chances. Ray Teal, the quiet backbone who stepped away. While fistfights and stampedes raged across the screen, Sheriff Roy Coffey kept Virginia City steady with nothing more than a badge and calm resolve. Actor Ray Teal delivered that steadiness like granite, earning trust from viewers and characters alike. Teal, born in 1902, already wore the dust of 250 films when he first strolled onto Bonanza set in 1960. Westerns, war sagas, and crime yarns had polished his deep voice into pure authority. Yet Sheriff Coffey became his crown jewel because the role let him show tough justice tied to gentle patience. Every week he solved arguments, tracked thieves, and offered quiet advice to Ben Cartwright. His scenes never roared, yet they glued the wild frontier to believable reality. Kids watching at home felt safer knowing Sheriff Coffey guarded the streets. Parents nodded, seeing proof that fairness could ride side by side with strength. Decades of dawn-to-dusk shoots finally took their toll. By the early 70s, Teal's body ached under the weight of endless location days and harsh weather. No feud or contract dispute pushed him out, only honest fatigue. He slipped away from the set with the same dignity he brought to every scene, trading his uniform for the rest he had earned. Which tale rattled you the most? Tell us below, because your voice turns memory into living history. Tap like, share this ride with friends who love classic westerns, and subscribe for more hidden truths from television's golden trail.